I need your attention now. So, really, you're a great crowd. I mean, you ate dinner in record time, and so we can actually start our program a little bit early. So, I want to say welcome to Soup Supper number 37. The first one was in October 2006, and we have continued them ever since. So they're a major and continuing source of revenue for the Historical Society. And as well, they're a source of information and knowledge for our community. And certainly that will be the case tonight. Now, I also want to mention one other thing because I was asked about it. And I think some of you know and some of you don't. The Historical Society has purchased the historic Rock House on 3rd Street. Yay! And it will become a home for the Historical Society and a community building that will cater to other groups to have exhibits and programs. I think it will be a great asset to our community. And I think I'll just mention also that Desert Hot Springs is the only city that has these rock houses. Our rock houses are built entirely of rocks. There are rock houses in Palm Springs, I think in Araby Cove, but really they're regular houses, 2-story, and have rocks on the front as facades and so on. So we really are unique in having these rock houses, and it will be to our benefit to make them available to the public and to be telling the history of rock houses in Desert Hot Springs. And I view them as kind of like a little sister to Cabot's because they were built during the same time in the 1940s. So that's just for your information. And before I introduce the speaker, I would sincerely like to thank all of you who helped with this event, from selling the raffle tickets to working at the sign-in table, contributing food, Virginia, Doc, and helping to make everything run smoothly. So many thanks. You are all so important, as are you who have come to the program tonight. So now, it's my pleasure to introduce tonight's speaker, Dr. Kephyan Sheppard. He was born and raised in the Coachella Valley and is a long-term resident of Desert Hot Springs. He's a former NCAA track and field All-American sprinter and alumnus of Palm Springs High School. He's also a member of the clergy, and he holds a bachelor's degree in biblical studies, a master's degree in divinity, and a doctorate in ministry. Now, change of pace. He's also an accomplished saxophonist with several albums. But the big thing tonight is that he serves as community champion for advancing DHS. And we're going to hear about some of those champions tonight. So let's welcome Dr. Sheppard.
You all are too kind. Too kind. Well, I'm not going to be here long. I have, 30 minutes? Is that right? I always tell a preacher how long he has. That's cool. I won't be long because in the morning, we have a date to save the universe with the Avengers. It's happening. Thanos has to see me in the morning. So we won't be here long tonight. She said this is a record time for eating dinner. I take offense to that. You all thought I was going to eat all the food, didn't you? I am a former track and field athlete, and it's funny because I work for the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and whenever we get before all the donors, they always do the guessing game. Guess what sport Kephyan played in college, right? And usually it's football. You know, he had to be a linebacker or something like that, and then when they say he ran track, they say, well, no, there's no way he ran anything. But I want you all to know that before I married this woman over here, I was a lean, mean running machine, and she put all the weight on me, so she did that herself. This is my wife, Kephyan Sheppard. She's put up with me. She has put up with me for 15 years, and we have 3 children, and we have one who's at home with us. You probably see her all over Facebook because she runs both of our pages, and she pastors the church, and she runs the house and everything else. Her name is Michaela. She's 9 years old, and she's beautiful. She didn't want to be here tonight because it's not about her, so that wasn't going to happen. Yeah, I said it. A little bit about me. I'm from this desert. I was born at Desert Regional Hospital back in '78, and I graduated from Palm Springs High School in '96. Lived here in Desert Hot Springs during that time, and we didn't have a DHS high then, so we all got bused over to Palm Springs High School. My first job was at Kmart right here in town, and we lived on Delray, so I would leave track and basketball practice at the high school, get off line 14, go right to Kmart, work for 4 hours, and walk 8 blocks up the road. And then I was fortunate to leave the desert, and track and field kind of afforded me the opportunity to run collegiately, and bounced around a little bit because I got a little bit of trouble, just a little bit. How much? Okay. Got a little bit of trouble, and ended up settling at University of Laverne, where I completed most of my undergrad work. But I became a track and field All-American there, sprinter. In the year 2000, I qualified for the Olympic trials in the 200 meters. Believe it or not, this big man was one of the top 25 people in the nation running the 200 meters. Long story short, I tore my hamstring, never made the Olympic team, and went through a little period of time where I was unsure about life, and I met this young lady in 2003, right? 2003, I knew that she was the one. It didn't take us long. We got married, and shortly after us getting married, she was diagnosed with cancer, lymphatic cancer. And as a part of her diagnosis, she had to go through some chemotherapy treatments and all that kind of stuff. And in the middle of those treatments, she remembered a visit that we made down here to my mother. My mom lived in Palm Springs, and I don't know what came over her, but she says, I think we should move to the desert. And we were living in Hawthorne at the time, right? And I'm like, okay, you must be high, because I don't want to move back to the desert. And she says, no, I think we should move. And she had looked and she had said, you know, Desert Hot Springs has the healing spas and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, wow, I was living there and I didn't know that we had healing spas there, so let's go. And so we came back to Desert Hot Springs in 2004, and we settled back in the desert. We've been here ever since. But ever since we've been here, since 2004, I've noticed a remarkable change. When I was growing up here, we had Kmart, we had Del Taco, we had Vons and Stater Brothers, and we had a bunch of empty land, right? I don't know if you all remember, there was a boxing gym on Palm across the street from Stater Brothers almost. My mother actually ran that gym. And so when we came back in 2004, we found out that, you know, a lot of that stuff was gone. And Desert Hot Springs had that image, that stigma that it had when I was in high school. We were always looked at as the kids that came from the other side of the tracks, right? No matter how gifted we were, no matter how athletically gifted or academically gifted we were still Desert Hot Springs kids. And so then when we moved back in 2004, that stigma was still here. I remember one of my first jobs when we moved back, I worked for Sunline, and then I worked for El Dorado Country Club as a junior accountant. And everything was great until they found out I lived in Desert Hot Springs. It was like suddenly, you know, we have this hoodlum that works among us type of thing, right? Yeah, it was kind of slap in the face a little bit. So we did the best we could over the course of time to try and just, you know, make the best out of DHS that we could. We planted a church back in 2012, and immediately we started saying we're going to do the best we can to improve this community. And so last year, 2 years ago, I spoke at the neighborhood breakfast where our friendly family photographer, Donna Puziana, kind of orchestrated for us. And I spoke about doing the best we can to change the image of our city. This was something that was near and dear to my heart because we decided to raise our family here. And we didn't want our daughter to have that same stigma on her that I had when I was growing up. Our daughter's a beautiful girl, very intelligent girl, very athletic. She's faster than all the boys on the playground. But you never want her to be associated with Desert Hot Springs. Springs, you know, that image. So I spoke at the neighborhood group breakfast, and then about a week later, I got a call from a lady named Audrey Bowe, and she says, my husband, you guys should talk. And so I link up with her husband, the great whistler, Court Moe, and he can whistle, well, I tell you. I linked up with Court Moe, and he started giving me his vision of what he wanted to do and what he saw in Desert Hot Springs. And I said, wow, your vision is my burden is your vision, so how do we make this happen? And so we started advancing Desert Hot Springs, and we started pulling together board members and different people that we could talk to figure out how to improve the image of this city. And so that's why I'm here tonight. If you see that logo right there, that's who we are. Coincidentally, there's bumper stickers on the back table, right? I would like everyone to take one and put one on their vehicles, okay? I know you all by face now, so if I see you at the store and I don't see a bumper sticker, we're gonna have a problem. All right, okay. I'm really a teddy bear. Okay. I'm really not, no. The vision of advancing Desert Hot Springs is, we understand that Desert Hot Springs is viewed with a negative image, somewhat here in the city and then outside the valley as well, the region. One of the things that really, I guess, got under my skin is when it came to our high school students. I believe that we have the best high school in the valley. And I say that because athletically, our kids achieve academically. Did you guys know that you can get a 4.28 GPA? Like, I wasn't that smart, right? But we had two valedictorians and a salutatorian. One had a 4.29, other had a 4.2. I didn't know that was possible, right? And we have these jewels here in Desert Hot Springs at our high school. Our marching band is one of the best in the state. Our ROTC is one of the best in the state. But whenever you saw coverage of the Desert Sun, of the high school in the Desert Sun or KMIR, KSQ, it was always negative, right? There could be a fight that breaks out of Desert Hot Springs High School, and KSQ send every camera they have available to the high school, right? Meanwhile, a full-blown riot at Palm Springs High, nothing said, right? And so that was one of the things that really got under my skin, because I'm saying, how is it that there's so many positive things happening in this city, yet if you look around the media, all you see is negative things? And so when I got with Court and we got with Advancing DHS, we said, we're gonna do the best we can to change the image and the perception of this city, both here and region-wide. And we believe that when we started, it would take a while. If we build this momentum, we'll get the media to start paying attention to us, right? And so our mission statement says this: the mission of ADHS is to enhance the impression and image of Desert Hot Springs by highlighting the many wonderful things about our city in order to help others realize what a gem this community is, with the goal of creating more positive perceptions of DHS throughout the Coachella Valley. So our whole goal is to, trust me, we're not ignorant to the fact that there's negative things in the city, right? But we're also aware that there's negative things in every city. So our job is to highlight the positive things in our city and try to let people know that we're not just what you see on the news. One thing I did when we first started, I spoke to the realtors. It was a realty caravan here in Desert Hot Springs, and it opened the door for me to go to the Palm Springs realty caravan. And when I was out there, there's about 85 realtors that all said, we have these beautiful homes in Desert Hot Springs, great views, huge floor plans, great prices, but we can't sell them. Because the problem is when someone falls in love with the home, they do a Google search of Desert Hot Springs and they pull up a Road Snacks article that says it's the worst place ever to live. First of all, never trust anything with snack in the name. That just doesn't work, right? But I said, okay, this is how we can help you. Because you can actually show these potential home buyers how great of a place this is. What we've done is we've gone throughout the city and we've looked at small businesses, we've looked at individual stories, we've looked at high school students and beyond, community achievement and beyond, to kind of show people in a tangible way that there's positive things that are happening here, right? And so I'm gonna show you on a slideshow a few of our stories, and then I'm gonna give us a challenge, because we're gonna have homework tonight, okay? We good? Homework? All right, homework, yes. If you have an issue with homework, see Mr. Bowman, he'll make sure that he does it for you, okay? I'm gonna do this because Mr. Burke is, which button?
The forward button. Yep.
There,
Very good,
okay.
sir.
All
You
right.
must have a doctorate degree.
Yeah, I can't do something like that. Quick story, I was at the hospital and someone came and says, oh, you're a doctor. I was like, no, not that kind. I don't. You need a scripture, I'm your man. Okay. We initially said that it would take a little while for us to drum up some positive vibes. And once we got enough followers, then the media would start to pay attention. Well, it just so happened that recently we kind of broke through. The Desert Sun actually featured us on the front page of the paper about a week and a half ago, what was it? a week and a half ago. This is what was great about that. This was Coachella week, and Coachella took the second page.
Wow.
DHS, you should be, yeah, right. So you open a paper to look at Coachella, and you see this big thing and his daughter standing on the front page with an advancing DHS sticker, right? This was huge because this let the Valley know that DHS is not settling for being what you call on the other side of the tracks, right? And I always say that people say we're on the other side of the tracks, but I believe we're the better side of the tracks, right? Yeah, that was, somebody said, amen, don't do that to me, don't say that, okay. So this article really highlighted what we were trying to do. This article really highlighted the fact that we're not aware, we're not ignorant of the fact that there's negative things that happen here. But we are aware that the positive outweigh the negative in a great deal, right? And so with this article that exposed everyone to our website is where a story is posted every week of something positive happening within the city, right? If you need a copy of this paper, trust me, we have like 40 of them. We can get you one. But, but I need you all to pay attention to this, and realistically, no matter what it is that you do, get a copy of this and show people. Like, Desert Hot Springs is on the rise, okay? We're doing some big things. Could you imagine any other city in this valley being able to boast that they have the best police chief?
That's right. That's right.
Did you guys see his post yesterday, feeling cute or feeling sexy, might arrest somebody? I don't know, that was hilarious to me, right? But I don't know how the man does it because he fights crime and answers Facebook tags all day long. I just don't get it. And often I tell people on the Facebook, can you please just call the police station? Don't tag the chief. He's busy. But then right after that, he'll respond to him. He's great. He's awesome, right? But then you think about it. Our city staff, we finally have a direction that we're moving in, and it's positive, right? We have nearly a full police force. What I read yesterday is we're one less, right? We have 33 spaces. We have 32 police officers. That's huge. When I was growing up here, we had sheriffs. If you wanted a crime solved on Friday, you had to call them on Monday. But we have a full police force now. And then you look throughout the city, we have small businesses that are up and coming. We have volunteer opportunities. I've never seen a time in this city where no matter what you wanted to do, any day of the week you can volunteer somewhere. Somebody's doing something, right? If it's not Rotary, it's the Elks. If it's not the Elks, it's the churches. If it's not the churches, just start something and we'll follow you. That's what we do in this city, right? Yeah, that's who we are. We have a huge heart in this city. Okay, so that's the first thing. This has been the result, the fruit of our labor. After a year and a half of work and toiling, we made front page of the Desert Sun in Coachella Week. That is huge, right? Yes. Right. Yeah, just look at it. He's kind of cute, huh? No, I'm just kidding. All right. Here's the second thing. These are the types of stories. I picked some random ones.
And here they are.
Yeah, well, yeah.
They're out there tonight.
Yeah, that's them right there. Miss Marianne knows that's one of my favorite places.
Yes.
We have food trucks in the city now, all right? It's a beautiful thing. But right on Estrella and Palm, if you drive down Palm right now and you get to Estrella, you see this truck there. I wrote this story because I like chicken wings, and you don't get this size without hard work and dedication, trust me. But I wrote the story also because I wanted to show that you can start a successful small business here, and the city will rally around you and support you. The first few days that I was there, I took videos, and to see the crowd and the diversity in the crowd, and then to get on Facebook and to see how repeated day after day, when are you guys opening? I want some more chicken. I mean, it was just going crazy out there, right? And I wrote the story because I wanted people to see Jamie and Kenny, they're residents of Desert Hot Springs. Jamie actually grew up here with me. She's a couple years older than me. And her husband, they live here in town. He works for FedEx, and this is her passion. She worked for 20 years in the food service industry. She was the manager at the Cheesecake Factory for nearly a decade, I believe. And she finally launched out and said, you know what, I'm going to launch my business and pursue my passion. She did it, and she's doing it right here in the city. Yeah. That's huge, right? She is nice lady. And the chicken wings are good too, okay? All right, so here's the second one, type of story that we covered. This young lady is Vasti Gabriella. Vasti is, I had to write this down, she became the first reigning Miss Ventura County, USA, and went on to compete in Miss California, USA as Miss Desert Hot Springs. We literally have a beauty pageant champion that lives right here in this city. Yeah, you didn't know that, right? Isn't that cool, right?
She's so gorgeous.
She's so sweet, and she works out like she beats me around the gym. She's amazing, right? Right. But here's the thing, these are the type of stories that we want to tell, right? Because when you turn on the news and you look in the newspaper, you don't really hear these type of stories about any community, let alone Desert Hot Springs. But I can't speak for Palm Springs, but we're going to boast about what we have here, right? Okay, so Vasti is another one. Here's another one. I have to keep going back and forth because Mr. Burke is lazy, but it's okay. Mr. Jeremy McDaniel, he's the owner of McDaniel Roadside Assistance.
Yes, he is. Brother.
Love that man. He's another one. Community-oriented man, family man, right? But this is what's so great about his service and his business, his small business. He's supported by the community because he supports the community. I can guarantee you, it's happened to me. I locked my keys in my trunk at the gym one night. It was about 7, 8:30 at night, and I just put on Facebook, hey, I need a locksmith. Within 5 minutes, he was there. And so when I go on Facebook to thank him, come to find out he's done it for a dozen other people, right? And wouldn't even take a dime from me. Oh, no, don't tell him I told you it's free. But the main thing about him is that he's prospering in his community because he supports this community, which lets us know that a small business can make it here if you support the community, right? Now, this is a quote that he gave me. He says, I love Desert Hot Springs because of the people. If anyone is in need of anything, there's always someone willing to step up and give that person a hand for free. Have you been on the neighborhood group on Facebook? Someone comes on and says, I need baby formula for my baby. Within an hour, they have a lifetime supply of baby formula out of nowhere. It's like, you guys grow that stuff in the backyard? What's going on here, right? But then I've also seen it where people have needed help and assistance with their utility bills. No questions asked. Someone with a big heart from this community just stepped up and said, look, I'll help you. There is nowhere else in the valley where you'll have a growing city with a small town feel. Right. I guarantee it, right? I guarantee it. He also said, the diversity brings us together. We have a strong response in ensuring everyone is cared for. This is what I love, the diversity, right? Every time I go out to an event in the city, I see a diverse group of people. We don't care where you came from. We're just concerned about where we are right now, right? I think that's amazing. Okay, so here's the last one. Here's the last one. This kid made me cry when I met him.
Oh, I know him.
This is our champ,
Yeah.
right? I'm going to tell you a little story about how high school athletics work here in the Valley. I do Bible studies at all the high schools on the West Valley. And one of my schools is Rancho Mirage. They're the newest school. So they're elite. They're actually kind of snooty. Kids, it's like Beverly Hills 90210 on that campus, man. Rancho Mirage High were the reigning tennis champs for 2 years in a row. And they hadn't lost singles matches in almost 4 years, right? Until they ran into this kid. This kid is Eduardo. He goes to Desert Hot Springs High School. He's a senior this year. Eduardo won league, dethroned Rancho Mirage High in unlikely circumstances last year. People were completely shocked because he didn't just beat him, he beat him good, right? I say you put a DHS beat down on those boys, right? But this is what was crazy. He played with holes in his shoes. His family couldn't afford to buy him new tennis shoes, so he played with holes in his shoes. And he didn't even own his own racket. He won league with borrowed rackets. These are the kind of stories that represent DHS. People that just say, hey, look, we're a city of champions. Regardless of where we come from and what we have heart that says we can overcome anything. If you ever see this kid, give him a hug. Let him know that he's a champ for our city. Right? He's a senior this year. He's about to, he's getting ready to go into season right now. This kid is our defending champion. But you won't hear about this in other outlets, so we have to promote it ourselves, all right? So the purpose of tonight's talk, I got 10 minutes left, was how do we make an impact? I got 3 things. This is our homework, all right? We're gonna, she said I gotta ask one. You guys get to ask questions or whatever. Question, okay. This will be fun. Okay. 3 things, right? First thing is, we gotta understand that a community is only as strong as its relationships, all right? A community is only as strong as its relationships. We need to get to know one another, right? I just met people for the first time tonight, physically, that I've been connected to on Facebook for about a year or 2 years. Miss Karen Reagan. I just met her. We've been connecting on Facebook. Oh, right here, I'm sorry. We've been connecting on Facebook. We connected on Facebook for about a year. Never met physically, right? And tonight we met each other. These type of events is what's gonna get us to know each other a little bit better, right? This is how we really improve the image of our city. Because why? We get to know one another, right? And Marianne Williamson, it's a quote that I found that I thought was pretty cool. It says, in every community there is work to be done. In every nation there are wounds to heal. In every heart there's power to do it, right? So we have issues in this city. We have issues in our community, but we all have a heart to make a difference, all right? Yes. Okay. Second thing, need to allow compassion to become contagious. Compassion for one another. Everyone's not looking to get over on someone. We have some hustlers in the city. We have hustlers in our family. Well, at least I do. Names, we got a couple. But not everyone's a hustler, right? Sometimes we have people in our community that really have a need. And those of us that have the power and the ability to help with that need, we are obligated to do so. Compassion says that I'm not going to judge you while I'm helping you. I'm not going to judge you before I help you. I'm just going to lend it because I have it, right? Do you know that if you pay it forward, it always comes back to you? I have this thing where we go to Starbucks and I'll pay for the car behind me. Anybody do that? You guys are cheap. No, kidding. Okay. I do it every once in a while, right? I'll just feel in a good mood. Now, obviously, I look out the window and make sure it's not a car full of people, right? They just say, hey, I got them behind me. It's like 12 big guys. No, never mind, right? But I have this tendency, well, I'll just do it. And I do it in front of my daughter because I want her to see it. I want her to see that, hey, we're paying it forward to somebody. Do you know that that always comes back to us one way or the other? Not outside the city, within the city, right? And so the greatness of a community is most accurately measured by the compassion of all of its members. I love what Rotary does. I've seen what they've done with high school and with elementary school and within the community. Yeah, I love Rotary now too. You guys I'm getting jumped in next week, I think too, so that'll be cool. Ivan and Ed are gonna jump me in, it's gonna be great, right? But I love what they do because it's really service above self. And what I love about seeing them in the community, they're saying, look, we have a compassion to heal what ails this community. Our names aren't important, we're just gonna go do it. I love what the Elks have done. I had no idea until I wrote about them last week that they gave away over $20,000 in services and goods to our community, right? They didn't have to blow a trumpet, they just did it. I love what some of our churches do. Feeding the homeless, giving clothes to people that need them. These are the kind of things that have to spread in the city. And if you don't have a burden to start it yourself, link up with somebody who's doing it. Compassion is what needs to spread, right? And here's the last thing. We need to look for the positive. Now, I understand the negative exists. Trust me, full well, I do understand that. Yeah, tell you what this woman did, right? Somebody complained, two things. If you want to make me mad, talk about my wife, and mess with my food. That's like, right? So last night, someone went on Facebook and berated our local Domino's, right? Oh, they're horrible. I can't stand their service. Well, it just so happened that we were getting ready to have Domino's that night after church. So I'm like, well, first of all, we love Domino's, right? So then I get on Facebook this morning and I see that Donna went to Domino's to talk to the manager personally and make sure that things were resolved in a positive manner. But then someone else complained about Quick Quack. Well, they tore up my car. Well, see, first of all, both of our cars go through there and never messed up our cars. Whoa, like that, right? But then I found out Donna gets on Facebook today and she goes down to Quick Quack and she talks to me. I'm like, first of all, who are you? But she gets on Facebook and she lets everybody know, look, this was just a misunderstanding. Let's look at a positive way to look at this thing. The other night we had a shooting apparently on 3rd Street or 4th Street. Someone shot 30 shots and hit a couple cars, right? And everyone was dwelling on the negative, but someone says, hey, no one was hit, no one was killed. Let's start to look at the positive of some things, right? I'm gonna read this quote to you. It says, look for something positive each day, even if some days you have to look a little harder, right? So every day we wake up, we should be grateful for the fact that we woke up, right? But then also, there's something always positive going on in this city that we can focus on, right? It was hot today, very hot. But it was hotter in La Quinta than it was here. I know that for a fact. Right? We're in La Quinta, like, what's going on in here, right? And we get back to DHS and it feels a little bit cooler. That's something positive right then and there. So those three things, right? First of all, we have to have relationships. Second, we have to have compassion. Thirdly, we have to be positive, look for the positive. That's all I have for you tonight. I'm gonna open up for questions if you have any, right? I'm a Cancer. I like long walks in the park, jazz music, pizza and barbecue, okay?
That's you.
That's me right there.
That's you.
All right. So I got all that out the way. So any other questions you have for me?
I wish you brought your sax and played it.
Yeah, you know, I would have brought my sax. I am recovering from a lung issue. And hopefully within the next couple weeks, I'll be able to play again the way that I want to play. But it's coming, I promise you.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Pye.
How do you subscribe to advance DHS?
Ooh. I'm glad she asked because I was going to close with this, but she's great. On the back, there is a bumper sticker for everyone to take and a pledge card This pledge card goes in your wallet. It's just a simple reminder that you're making a commitment to accentuate the positive as it pertains to our city, right? On the bumper sticker and the card, there's a website, advancingdhs.com. To subscribe, all you have to do is go there. The first time you go there, a box will pop up and say, enter your email address. I promise you, you won't get junk, you won't get spam, you'll just get positive stuff, okay? Anyone else? You can call me 1-900-POSITIVE, I'll be there. Don't try that, don't try that. Yes, sir, yes, sir.
We have an idea for a story. How do we submit a story suggestion to you?
On advancingdhs.com or on Facebook. You can go on there and you can actually send us an idea for a story. Now I can promise you that every story that you send won't get, chosen. We don't want any controversy, right? We just want positivity. We don't want a story that, although you think is positive, can come back and give us backlash either, right? So don't get offended if the story you send isn't selected. If you want to know, you can ask me and I'll be glad to, explain it to you. But for the most part, we want to keep it to where even the conversation about the story is positive, okay? All right. Yeah, anyone else? He wants another one. Let's get those pledge cards around. Come on, Ivan, let's go. Ivan's awesome. He's not even working. He's working anyway. Yeah, yes, sir.
So,
His wife, he said his wife told you. That's it right there.
we heard about advancing Desert Hot Springs and a little bit about you, but I think it's important you tell the community a little bit more about what you and your church have done for the community.
Oh, we've done, this is what I'll say about what our church has done for the community. We've done what several other churches have done. We've opened our doors. We tried to feed the less fortunate, clothe them, and just be a place of love for everyone, right? Well, this is what I firmly believe. I don't get into what other people believe, but I do believe that we're all called to have compassion for one another, and I think that that's where it starts. So I think our church has done what every other church has tried to do and is doing. We're just trying to love in our community and make it better, right? Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
How do you get your readings on reporting on people who should be reported on? I mean, you should know about that.
I'm like Tonto. I'll put my ear to the ground and see what I can find. But no, also, I'm kind of everywhere. Like I try to get around the city as much as I can. High school events, social events, and all that. But then also, you see things on Facebook and you get random conversations from people, right? And so like this last week, we actually went back to featuring small businesses, and we went after Burke and Burke Media, Mr. Burke, right? Yeah, that's his wife. That's right. And we did so because he's done so much for the community, right? But he's one that supports the community, and the community in turn supports him back. And so one of the questions I asked him is, what would be the advice that you would give a small business that wants to get involved and get started in Desert Hot Springs? One of the first things he said was, if you love the community, they'll love you back, right? So that's how. I mean, if you have suggestions, please send them to me, by all means. Anyone else? Yes, sir. Mr. Preston.
You had mentioned that there's a board of directors.
Yes.
So are there meetings where other people can get involved, or is it just you that's going around?
If you're a board member, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3. We're missing 2, James Lindell and Charlotte Franklin. We meet monthly and we discuss stories and direction. If you're interested in attending a board meeting or sitting in on one, let one of us know and we'll arrange that for you. But also, if you're interested in, again, being a part of the story creating process, right, please let us know. You can see a board member. They send me suggestions all the time. I put out one a week, and right now I'm about 2 weeks, 3 weeks ahead of time, but if you have one that's pressing, I'll jump on it right away. Anyone else? Yes, sir?
It's not a question, I just wanted to say, and I think a lot of people in this room would feel the same way. You're right, the city has an awful image. So thank you very much for doing what you're doing to turn that around.
Well, thank you. I have this tendency to speak on professional athletes, and I always say that what if every professional athlete went back to their home community and gave back and tried to improve it? I have this firm belief that if you're rooted and grounded in a place, you have an obligation to come back and do something for it. And so now my obligation, or my sense of duty is doubled, because one, I feel the need to do it, but then two, we have a daughter who's coming up in this same community. So we want to make sure that this place is better off for her than it was for me. There's a proverb that says that a wise man leaves an inheritance for his grandchildren, for his children's children, right? And inheritance, we always think it's money, but it's not always money. Sometimes an inheritance is just leaving the community better than what you left, than you got it, than you received it. And so I believe that we all have that obligation to leave this community better than it was when we got here. So thank you, sir. Anyone else? All right, we're good. Thank you all. Now don't start clapping. We're going to bring up the beautiful Miss Audrey Mello. Come on, everybody.